Hey, welcome to RizPod episode number 21 with your fabulous Marissa Callie and myself, John Harris. Welcome. Today's episode is Networking by Design. We're talking pre, mid, and after event, how to make networking easier so you build more community at your events.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You don't have to dread networking.
You don't have to do it. No.
Yes.
Um, it is one of those things that, like, when the first times I did it, it felt awkward. But it was because I was thinking about it the wrong way. Really, it's just
Yeah.
having fun. So, but we can get into that stuff. So I think, like, in general, my thoughts on this are, like, as an event creator, event manager, whatever, it's like you want to be doing two things. One is like creating sparks, and the other is like fanning the flames. So, like,
Yeah.
creating sparks is like creating networking moments that make it easy for people to, like, break the ice, and the fanning of
Mhm.
flames is making it easier for people to, like, actually make connections afterwards. So, like, kind of
Yes.
just greasing the wheels, right?
Yes.
Way too many
Yeah.
metaphors.
You like those metaphors.
I do.
Cool. Yeah. It can be, it's definitely a goal of an attendee. And I think a lot of people don't even make it part of their planning process. When you're a planner or coordinator, like, you don't think about, okay, how are we going to network? Oh, they're going to show up in a room. They'll talk to each other. That's why they're there, right? Like, that's what happens. Yeah. Creating those moments are really important.
That's one thing that I bet, like, it's easy to think that as an event organizer sometimes, because probably one of the best networkers there is as a professional event organizer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, for the other people, like myself, the former wallflower, another episode we will look back on,
Mhm.
not so easy, pretty awkward. But
Yeah. Right.
so yeah, things we can do about it. Break it up into pre and during and, like, after events. I think pre-event, might as well follow that flow.
Mhm.
Number one thing I think is interesting is just, like, attendee to attendee discoverability. Just, like, allow people to see who is going to be there in advance.
Yes. Yeah. It can be really simple. It could be, when you're registering, there could be a link, let people know, like, it's confirmed, and then share with your network. That could be super simple. Or it could be like a whole database. I know IMEX in Vegas had database of attendees, so you could really look at who's there and, like, connect with them pre-event. And
Right. And what was your thoughts on that? I know some people, what holds them back is they think that's creepy, or that it's going to get, like, overshopped, or people will get spammed. What are your thoughts on being on that list, or being able to browse that list?
I think I like the accessibility as an attendee, because, it's all in what you put in it. I have, when I go to events as an attendee, I usually put 2 or 3 goals in mind of, like, what I'm going to do. And then if I have the tools there to, like, search for people or, like, really see who's there, then I'm definitely open to those things. I think it makes it less intimidating
So if you
to.
can creep, other people can creep. Is that's
Yeah. But you can sense a creep. I think maybe they're new to the industry, or they don't know how to act. And so, okay, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone's got a different experience. So, like, all I can control is how I am as an attendee. So that's
fair? Okay.
that's my whole, like, who I am, my mantra coming into this episode. But yeah, if I'm a planner, I want to have those opportunities available, just if and when they need information or they need to connect with people, like, it's there. So,
Right. Yeah, other things to do is to just to, like, share attendee stories. Like, if you're already in connection, like, with, or you're sending, like, email updates, social media updates, just highlight
mhm.
stories of, like, different attendees that are coming, and
Yeah.
showcase different types of people and maybe what they're looking for, right?
And it really depends on the event. The size of the event. I just did an event earlier this month, and it was 25 people, and the host, the main organizer, did, like, buddy system, like assigning people, like a new person with an old, like a senior person, or
Hmm.
people that have been to the event before, a local with a non-local, and it was 25 people, so it's a little easy to do that. And that's kind of fostering that networking. And they came to even though, you could meet the 25 people in the day and a half and talk to them, it was kind of like coming into the room and you already knew someone.
Right.
without feeling overwhelmed, especially if you were a newbie. And I thought, at first I was like, "Oh, that's kind of weird. Like, why are you like they're coming to the event 1.5 days. Like, you don't need to do that. Like, they'll be able to meet people." But they really called it out like the first day. They're like, "I'm so glad I got to meet you beforehand." And, you know, it was cool.
Yeah, no, I like that one. It's one I haven't heard of actually.
Yeah.
Buddy system. I wonder how they do their matches.
Yeah. We can ask her.
Yeah. Otherwise, just allowing attendees to interact a bit could be just like live chat, could be posting questions for
Mhm.
speakers, stuff that we talked about before. Um,
Yeah, and
what else would be good way to pre-event?
I would say also if you're a planner, you're part of the that please like don't get from what I say, like don't get discouraged if people are not engaging. People are overwhelmed with information.
Yeah,
The last thing you need to do is say I'm not going to do this because no one's communicating. Because that was kind of like where I was at with this event. We were like on Slack, we were posting all the updates, we were, sharing info, sharing local tidbits. No one was engaging. And we're like, oh my gosh, why are people not engaging? Then you come to the event, they're like, oh my God, I found this easy. Oh, this cool. Like they were watching. They weren't engaging, but they were watching and
right.
learning. And I didn't get any on the day of questions like, where do I go? Like it was all there, it was provided to them. So that's a good encouraging thing from the other side. Like it makes you not want to do it because no one's engaging, but people are watching. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of lines up with that that kind of old saying where like if you haven't about the time you're getting tired of saying something is about the time people are starting to realize you're saying it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
go to rizpod.live and get the show notes.
Nice.
I got
Yes.
that one. But, uh, we should start having a ticker that goes up. We have points every time we say that, right? So
Right?
we keep going.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, back to the topic. Um, is having, like yeah, people don't absorb things immediately, they don't react immediately, but,
Mhm.
like, if you put that stuff out there, it will
Mhm.
sink in, and everybody's better off for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's with everything, I think it's easy to get discouraged.
I think, but yeah, that's one other thing. Yeah, the notes on here, like get people to show up early, just so that like
Yeah.
before, what the benefit of having people just not be able to even like maybe they don't send each other a message, even if they could before, but they just get
Mhm.
to see who's there and they have an idea, they've read a profile, and then
Mhm.
that just sparks something in their head that like that's a conversation starter, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't need to have something actually happen before. It's just like gives people just so you're not walking into a room full of strangers, right?
Yeah, I think, another thing, and someone just posted this on LinkedIn yesterday, and they was asking about this specific topic. So, thank you, universe, for lining up everything properly. And one of my suggestions was get get designated connectors, so people that have been to the events before or know a lot of people are constantly like connecting others. Designate them, like, even give them a badge or something, like, that's like, "I'm the connector," so that they can go up to that person that's, like, standing alone, or, like, they can see, okay, like, someone's walking in, and they have to be there early because they're, like, a greeter, right? Like, why wouldn't you have a greeter at an event?
Right.
Outside of, like, the planners, because the planners are sometimes crazy, like, making sure everything's running properly. You need to
Yeah.
have someone there that has the energy, you
Yeah.
know? So
Got it. Yeah. And that sounds like a really good example of just like another like that spark creator
mhm.
kind of format. So people show up early, don't just like herd them like cattle into a cage and expect some magic to happen, right?
Right.
That those connectors there can be people that make matches. Other things you can do are like just like games, just fun things like stuff you do at a party, whatever, right?
Mhm.
I think things like Giant Jenga, super fun.
Yes.
Lawn darts may be too dangerous. Darts and a lot of events have drinks.
Yes.
But beanbag toss, right? Soft.
Yeah.
Get hit in the head with it, nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
Mini golf, Mario Kart, like whatever you can think of that's just instead of just having people just have to walk up to each other and be like, "Hey, what do
Hi.
you do?" blah blah blah. Like actually just
Yeah.
have people have fun and like experience something together.
My favorite question. What do you do? Who are you with? I'm like, "Oh god."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the event that I went to last night, a holiday party, so it's a little more festive than normal. They had a, like, 360 photo booth, so that was cool.
Nice.
Like, there was no one, like, actually doing it, and it was, like, awkward a little bit because I think people need, like, I don't know, like, some drinks or, like, they need to, like, wait for their friends to come in. So that was a little weird because, like, maybe you need to designate people or, like, maybe announce it. It kinda was weird. They were just standing around waiting for people to come up and take pictures, and I thought it was closed,
Fair.
like, because there was no one there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they also had, like, vendors that were selling, like, get, like, a holiday market type thing. Getting people that align with the mission and the purpose, even if it is, like, an extra revenue source for them or whatever, like, just having more people and different activities for people to do, I think is super important.
Yeah. Yeah, and even with that, I like the idea of just like you said, you didn't go to it because it was closed.
Yeah.
One thing you could give people is like almost like a networking, like if you have that kind of fun stuff, have like an agenda for people, just
Yeah.
like here's what you should do first,
Right.
right?
Or,
Like
like,
building that.
networking bingo, like, there's a bingo card, right? Like, who are you gonna meet?
Yeah,
Yeah, checklist, scavenger hunt, so many fun things to do.
cool. And then yeah, in session, my recommendations for session is just keep them to that point where you don't see people itching to get out of their seats.
Yes.
Which is like maybe 30 to maximum 45 minutes. I think even 20. Like, what
Yeah.
do you think?
We did, I was at the PMI event in October, and it was, 2 of the people on my team were doing presentations. It was 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes sessions, and they were, like, good, valuable, like, they were like, "How am I gonna talk in 20 minutes?" But it created that FOMO to then go over to the booth, right? So give booth people the opportunity to present on, like, one of those, like, quasi stages, not like a big room, not a huge session, but then it, like, draws people, like, into, like, the booth, and it's another opportunity for people to present their topics, in a different way. But yeah, 15 minutes was like, "Oh, that's fast," but it was perfect
I
because it
like that combo of like giving people like half booth, half stage
Mhm.
exposure makes
Yeah.
yeah, I think it would draw a lot more people to the booth. Sometimes you want to be leery of booths. If you don't like a booth is like walking up to a booth is like asking to be sold sometimes,
Yeah, right,
right? But if you
right,
already have seen the person on stage, you know a little bit about their expertise makes you probably want to
right.
more likely to approach, right?
Mhm. And this particular event was like there was not a lot of booths that I saw. Like, I walked in and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like, this room is empty." But it ended up turning out to be great because you weren't, like, bombarded by booths. So, being intentional by the booths, the content that's delivered, it's not just like anyone can get a booth, like, I wasn't getting sold bracelets, or whatever, Like, it just was, like, different, like, I was like, "Wow, cool," like, they're totally being like, it's not what I know as events, but it was a perfect experience because yeah, cool. Cool stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, otherwise with sessions, I like smaller sessions. I think that kind of range
Yeah.
between like 100, people
Mhm.
is like where you want to top it out. I think I can't remember the scientific thing behind this, but like when you're in a room of that size, it just feels like mentally manageable to most people.
Mhm.
So they figured that like it gives you when you go to above that, you like feel like you get kind of lost in the crowd,
Yeah.
which you can feel like kind of anonymous. But under 150 people or less, then you kind of feel like you have a little bit more of a space in it.
Mhm.
So I think it's a better way to like help people just network in general by being in that kind of group size.
Mhm. And it's a great visual if your session does only have 150 and you have a few extra stragglers outside trying to listen or like the doors closed, you can't look, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great. It's better than the opposite where you have like all these sessions and they're in big rooms and there's no one filling it up, you know?
Yeah. Fair. And then otherwise, just as much interaction as possible during sessions. Just get
Mhm.
the audience to participate, whether that's in person through mobile devices, apps, whatever.
Mhm.
Make it interactive so people get to learn, just get to experience. the experience with the other people that are there, instead of just everybody sitting silently and just listening to some monotone university lecturer.
Yeah. A practical tip for that would be like using Slido. That's one tool that you can use. The speaker can put it up. They can do like Q&A, or they can do trivia during their presentation, and then give away something at the end if that's the design of their session, or the event sponsor. Like if a session is sponsored by an event, then the sponsor can give, or not, if the session is sponsored by someone, the sponsor can give something away, ticket to next year or hotel stay or something. Is something cool. A good way to also get more people engaged and having fun, and that was a cool session, not like I just sat here and listened to an audio recording. Because I mean, that could be like the metaverse in the future. That's what it is. Like, you don't even need to go to an event. You just go and listen to like some fake person in the metaverse, like saying what they need to say, right? There's no interaction. So
Yeah, if you're gonna do it live, might as well have the human interaction, right?
yeah, for sure.
Speaking of human interaction, humans need food and
Uh,
breaks, and so
yes.
intersession, like uh, in between those sessions, just like food setup. I personally despise buffet lineups. Like
Yeah.
every buffet lineup I've ever been at an event, it's like, oh, it's lunch and there's networking time during lunch, and lunch is an hour. Well, guess what? It takes 45 minutes to
45
get the
minutes.
food.
Right.
And so I
Right.
get to talk to the one person in front of me and the one person behind me if I'm lucky.
Yes.
Uh,
I
so
went to, yep.
so
That's,
instead doing like canapes, like having things spread out so people
yes.
can move around, get different stuff, encourages mingling. Like
What's canapes? Is that like a Canadian thing?
maybe it is. It's probably like French or something. I don't know. That's when it's just like um it's appetizers.
Okay,
Do you
great.
know that
Yeah.
word?
Yes, I know. Canapes.
It's
That's interesting.
small food.
I'm tapas? We could say tapas?
Tapas. Yeah. There you go. Tapas. That's
Really,
awesome.
I've never heard that word before, and I
Yeah.
have good Canadian friends, so anyways, yes, back to that. I think food can make or break your event. Food lines and food presentation and food offerings. So sometimes it has to be the number one focus. Not outside of, outside of all the other things, but like don't just think, oh, like that event has this caterer, let's just do whatever they think. Let's think about a different way to do it. So
Fair.
um
I think I had a really great, I think, idea for drink tickets.
yes, what is that?
It's the so if everybody just gets drink tickets, they just go to the bar by themselves and get drinks.
Yeah.
Right? That's great. But what about this? What about if you only gave out buy me a drink tickets? And so you can only buy other people's drinks with your tickets.
Wow. That's like you have to go talk to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And you better make them like you or you're not gonna get a drink back.
Yeah.
Right?
Right? Right?
Otherwise, speaking of cups, so charity cups, I like like maybe you have two competing charities at an event. And so
Mhm.
when people are getting their drinks, they're like kind of they're donating at the same time.
Mhm.
Uh, and I like just having, I like bars as a former bartender. I like bars, not servers, because servers, like, that means people can just stay where they are and not have to mingle. Whereas if you have to go to the bar every now and then, that's like
Mhm.
more forced mingling, right?
Yes, yeah. I don't think I've been to events with servers, at least the drinks. They yeah, you gotta go get it. Gotta go get up and get your drink. Um, yeah, I think that's trying to think if there's anything else. Intercession.
Yeah, I don't think,
Um, no.
I think keeping those at the right time as well, right?
Yeah.
Just getting, as long as it's well set up, get people in and out, then moving on to the next thing, keep that energy.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, finally, post event, just like pre event attendee discoverability. Like, there's so many times when you've bumped into somebody, you didn't exchange business cards or get a clear name, and you're like, who was that person? And
Mhm.
so being able to go back, in an event product like Buzzets. And just to be able to find those people's profiles, find some contact info, send a message can
Yeah.
be extremely valuable. That's like the fanning the flames part of this. We've been talking mostly about like creating sparks, but just really making it easy for people to grow their connections to follow up afterwards, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think I mean, when you register for an event and you have to answer all these questions, like, with your social profiles and, it makes it hard for people to, like, actually complete the registration. So it's like it almost has to be done, like, a week after or a couple days before, like, finish your profile so that people can find you, and even after, like, finish your profile, and that's, like, your drip campaign after the event that it's still, like,
Right.
available to you. Because, I mean, honestly, like, if unless I have the time, I would be really annoyed if I had to fill out all that, like my bio, my LinkedIn profile, my Instagram, but like I'm posting a highlight reel and I want to tag the vendors or the people that I saw. And sometimes I have to like go back and like, who was it? Or like I check my business cards. What if people aren't that intentional with grabbing all the stuff that they need there? Like they need a list of the people because I saw your logo there, but how do I tag you? Like,
Yeah.
what's your name? I
Yeah.
don't know, so,
Yeah. It just makes
uh
the event that much more for everybody else, right?
mhm.
Um, and then maybe after the event, and even just like sharing networking success stories, right?
Yeah.
Who did people meet? And then you can use that as marketing material for next year. Like,
Mhm.
what does this event actually provide for people?
Yes.
But I think we got to talk some dinosaur ideas, right?
Okay.
Um,
Yes.
so before we jump into that though, one more time, I'm gonna win this episode. So go to, if you want a summary of this, go to rizpod.live, get
Yes.
show notes, get the recording. But dinosaur ideas, like just like name badges. Um, sure, yes. If you do the like hello, my name is, and people write their name on sticker, like that's worth it,
Mhm.
right? But printing, like what I just don't understand why people put so much effort into badge printing sometimes. Unless it's like a really high security, high tech item that's gonna like,
Mhm.
help people connect on LinkedIn with a tap or something like wild and cool. But like, why otherwise are we doing printed name badges that people have to line up for and find, and they
Yeah.
look nice, and people put them in a sock drawer or throw them away? It's like,
Mhm. It's funny because I have all my badges, like, hanging up right there. I like to look at them as memories, but, um, keep it simple on the badge too. That's my other ad. I think, people are and it depends on the purpose of your event too, but, like, on the event last night, I think my name was big, and then it was my first name and my last name, but, and then it had my whatever the event that I or the company that I referenced, but nothing else, which was okay, but since I wasn't a member officially, it had a different color, and so I was able to,
oh,
go to, like, other non-members and be like, "Oh, is this your first event?" Or, like, go to a member and be like, "Oh, tell me about this organization." So that was, like, a networking and I don't know if it was intentional. I think that's just how the system but, I mean, these are event planners and professionals, so I'm like, I think it was intentional. Um, at first, you think, okay, the exclusivity thing, like, oh, you don't wanna make people feel different, but it was helpful for me to know to go to, like, non-members and see why haven't they joined, or is it their first time like me? Let's bond,
yeah.
so, but it was a sticker, printed sticker. So, like, they already just printed from the registration, but it just tore off, right? So I don't have to write my name or something like that, so
Got it. Okay. Um, yeah. Otherwise, speed dating, bit of a dinosaur idea. I despise speed dating.
Or, like, what is it? There's probably a good metaphor you could probably come up with one, like, have all the business cards and, like, just put them on all the tables, like, no one's talking to you, just put the business card. "Here you go." Like, I didn't even talk to you. Why do I've done someone's done that to me. I'm like, I just take their business card and just throw it in the trash, like, literally just to walk. I was like, "I don't even know you. I don't know what you
They're
offer.
just walking by you and they just leave their business
Here you
cards
go."
you just
Yeah.
picked up.
I was like
Great
Okay.
strategy.
Thanks. And then I was like, "You need to listen to RizPod."
Yeah.
Go back to Networking by Design, which is this episode where you can get all the show notes on rizpod.live.
Whoa, jeez, snuck a sneaker. Um, but yeah, speed. One thing I do like, what's kind of like similar to speed dating, I think it accomplishes better thing in less time, like speed pitching. Just having people sometimes just for in the beginning of an event, everybody goes up with like a smaller event, 30 seconds per person. They're just like, hey, I'm
Mm.
this. I can provide this. I'm looking for this. Um,
Yeah.
looking forward to meeting you. And then it's just like all of a sudden, it's kind of like having profiles before the event, but it's in person, so it's a little more
Yeah.
engaging. And then you just like all of a sudden everybody in the room, instead of having to one-to-one go to people and see who they should be speaking with, everybody has a really good idea of exactly who they might want to speak with by the end of the event.
Right, right. Yeah, we did, at the small event last couple of weeks ago, it was "One thing you don't know about me is,"
Nice.
and
Yeah.
then, they said I think they said their company or what they did, but it was geared towards "One thing you don't know about me." So we got
Yeah.
into past who you are, who you work for, like, what what really, like, excites you, what came up there, and it was interesting because some people did work-related things, some people did fun-related things. But that was at the beginning, and they were standing up in a circle. So it's like you can't avoid it,
Yeah.
it's like, "Here, let's jump right in," and that was a form of networking.
That kind of thing. Do like two truths and a lie,
Yeah.
or right?
You could have also at, like, the tables, like, if it's in the beginning, you could have, like, engaging questions, like, instead of saying, like, who you are and what you do, say, "What brings you here today?" or something like that, like, make people talk about things that are different than just their name and their job.
Yeah. That's
So
what business cards are for.
yeah, right, exactly, and LinkedIn profiles and
Yeah.
all that, yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Networking by design. Any
Yeah.
last thoughts, John?
Uh, go to rizpod.live, get the show notes,
Yes,
and I will.
and I think it's interesting 'cause a lot of this is very focused on in person, and I feel like we can have a whole 'nother episode on, like, virtual and how you can really network that way, but that's another episode. So thank you for joining us on rizpod.live. Make sure you hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching.
Awesome. Thanks,
All
guys.
right,
Till
take
next
care.
time. Bye.
Bye.